5. I just knew I might not start that. Okay.
Oops, sorry.
You have passcode?
2556.
I feel like an old man when I'm working with technology.
What do you need to get into that?
Yeah, just give me a football. Good enough?
Sure.
Okay. I'll send it to me.
Alright.
Okay, ready?
Yes.
Welcome to episode 5 of Realty Talk with Ellie and Galen. We're back for week number 5. I have Ellie in the house. Hello, Ellie.
What's up?
How you doing? Today Ellie walked in and I did a double take and I couldn't figure out what was wrong. Not wrong, but what was different.
I see how it is.
And then we kept sitting there and we were talking about what we wanted to talk about, and I kept looking and I'm like, do you normally wear glasses? And going to find out, yes, right?
Yes, I missed a prime opportunity. I'm realizing now to say I've always worn them. How have you not noticed? And damn it.
Yeah. So she's never worn them that I've known, and she keeps them super clean. I thought they were fake glasses, like you see people wear for like fashion.
Yeah. But
they actually have lenses. They're just very polished and clean. But yeah, that's fun fact of the day that I learned that Ellie wears glasses, and I actually picked up on it in probably about 20 minutes. So that's good. So my awareness was very good on that.
Speedy.
So we were also talking about, before we dive deep into some real estate stuff here, we tried to figure out what Catch-22 meant, why it's called Catch-22,
yep.
And why is it called Catch-22?
Well, I didn't actually get to that. I just know that there's a book called Catch-22 and it was banned. And I'm assuming the plot of the book has something to do with what we now call Catch-22.
So my question too is, I don't know, do they ban books now still? Is that still a thing? Because that was like a big deal back. I don't know when books were technically banned, but I'm thinking it was probably like a 60s-ish,
Yeah.
50s, 60s.
Yeah.
Because I remember in high school we read Fahrenheit 451, which was another one I believe that was banned, which the whole premise of it was the government wanted to burn books to ruin ideas.
Yeah.
And people, spoiler alert, if you haven't read this book yet, it's been out for years, that people would memorize word for word the book. So what would happen is they would basically lead like this kind of apocalyptic kind of living, and go on and basically rewrite from memory the books they remember, so they could preserve the book for future generations. And I think at some point, probably because it was a shot at the government, even though it was like a fictionalized government, it was probably something the government thought for whatever reason, so it was banned. But I did read it, so shout out to Mrs. Brown for letting us read that.
Books are still banned. I just looked it up.
Oh, okay. Like what book? What's like a recent book that's been banned?
List of books banned by governments.
Like recently, or these ever?
Alphabetical list.
I'm curious.
It's difficult on my phone here. So I think it's going. 2008 is when 2008. One of 23 books banned. It's banned in North Korea. We're not going to count that one.
Oh yeah. That's par for the course.
I guess I should have specified. In the U.S. So there is a website on ALA called Banned and Challenged Books. My phone is downloading very slowly, so we're not gonna get into that. But apparently, books are still quote unquote banned and challenged.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's silly. But
considering you can probably still order it on Amazon,
yeah,
so
right.
it's a banned book. But back in the '60s, I get it, because you couldn't get it anywhere. But
probably applies, I guess, more specifically to schooling now. I guess there's probably some books that they won't allow kids to.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy with, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's for conversation another day. So, the topic we wanted to talk about today, which I'll let Ellie kind of start off, and I'll add my spin on it, is basically the building up of a network or a business, or putting your name out there, or basically building up your business around you, who just just started your second month.
Yeah.
Trying to build up a business around you versus, somebody that's been in the business for 10, 20, 30 years that has a network of clients and things like that. So what's kind of your thoughts on that? What have you been challenged with in the month that you've been in real estate? What are you foreshadowing? What do you think your biggest struggle is going to be? What do you think something that you are going to excel at? What would that be?
Well, I guess I knew starting out that it will probably take, it'll snowball up. So the first year is going to be a little slower. Each month I pick up a little more. It's because, people don't know me. That's why I tried to start my social media off before I had my license, just to get my name out there. And I guess it has been a little more difficult than I expected. I had this idea in my head that I would, post on my social media, I got my license, and people would be like, oh, well, not flocking to me, but, I expected that it would be more of a turnout, which I realized looking back on it, it makes sense that it hasn't been. And I think the recognition I have gotten is because I'm lucky enough to have a mentor. You give me shout outs all the time and stuff, and almost every bit of recognition that I've gotten, if someone mentions it to me, is because of you, or because John's been telling everyone at the gym. But I'd say most of it is, I've had a lot of people, more than I expected, say, oh yeah, I listen to your podcast, and I was like, oh, surprised by that. But I think probably, most sales jobs, it's just going to take time, especially because this isn't I'm not selling cars, which I think probably, people need cars more frequently than buying
More
a house.
walk-in traffic too.
Yeah. So I know it's going to build up and take time, but I think 3 years from now, when I look back, I'm going to be grateful for, I go to a lot of events now. Every time Brittany texts me about an event, I make myself go there, even if, after my other job, I want to go home and take a bath. But I think 3 to 5 years from now, I'm going to look back on that and be really grateful that I'm doing it, because at this point, it's just, people don't know me. If they're buying something as big as a home, they want to do it through someone they trust. And at that point, I'm just building, making sure that people know who I am, and knowing that I'm not, going to do something sleazy. I guess it's my challenge right now.
Yeah, I think so. When I started, which was funny, was one, I grew up in the area, so I had that advantage over you, meaning, you don't have any contacts for the most part. You do have contacts. Yeah, but it's not. You don't have a childhood location that you could say. I mean, you can go back to Blackwater Rock, wherever you Black something where you grew up, Black Lake in New York. I probably never get that right. I always end up saying something completely wrong. But it's just the idea of when I first got in, I was 20, 21, whatever the age was exactly. But I got in. Nobody as peers of mine were buying homes. Actually, the first person who ever bought a home was an ex-classmate, was a classmate of mine in high school. She bought a piece of land. I think that was my first deal I ever did. It was cool that she was able to buy it at a young age. But I went a lot of times with no clients, and it wasn't like I knew a lot of people. Back then, I didn't do a good job of getting out into meeting people. I was very, I just kind of floated, and I was part-time in college, and I didn't really understand the idea of building relationships with people, so I didn't do that. And most of my business came from me calling leads that I had no relationship with at the time, a very limited amount of skill set on how to actually know what I'm talking about. Now I'm very confident. I can be on the phone with pretty much anybody, and I have almost a decade of trial and error behind that I don't know goes through my brain somehow and filters out what to say and do, and where to steer the direction, or to help out the person as to what their needs are. But when I was starting out, I didn't have any of this at all. I really was just, I'm just going to put some effort into it. Now, granted, back then, I was in, even only being 5 years younger than you are now, it was a different point in my life. You know, you're at a different point than I was at 20. I would say, and now I've gotten to the point over 9 years of just slowly, and I call it the snowball effect, is that me at 21 knew very little amount of people. Well, guess what? By the time I was 22, I knew more people. By the time I was 23, I knew more. And then it started to get to the point where 24, I started to have some peers or kids that were a couple years older than me start to dabble in getting into buying homes. I was meeting some people here and there, and it kind of led. Now I'm getting to the point where I know a lot of people, and a lot of people that I don't even know me, which is cool, which is kind of leveraging my social media channels and things like that. And then I've also, obviously through networking, I'm getting more referrals and getting repeat business. I've gotten over that 7-year hump where I've actually had people that are bought when I first started, and now we're turning around and selling and moving up or buying and downsizing or whatever the case may be. But it's it's a slow build. So, and we talked about this when you got into business. It's not like kind of what you just said. Like, hey guys, I'm on social media. I'm Ellie. I'm selling real estate. Everybody come list their home with me. Like, I still to this day am always prospecting for people.
Yeah.
And that's something I've never stopped, and I don't think I'll ever stop doing it, because you have to. Some facet I have to do it, and I'm even getting to the point now where I'm prospecting. Not for me as an individual agent, or relationships not as an individual agent, but how is it going to benefit the company long term?
Yeah.
Like, how is stuff I'm able to connect with now going to bring in extra business that I can't handle, that now can get trickled out to the rest of the team to grow their businesses?
Yeah.
And that's something I've really, over the last year, have kind of shifted my focus. That's cool. Like, I think I could sell. I think I can really expand what I'm doing personally, but I've gotten to the point where how can I expand myself while also trying to build up as many people as possible that are brand new or newer agents, existing agents that have come to our company. How can we work on building up a company versus one person, meaning, but I think my idea for my recommendations, I kind of jotted down a few of them, like, hey Ellie, or someone in Ellie's position, here's some things that I think you could do, or that I would do. Again, hindsight, knowing here I am nine years into it, what I would have probably changed the first couple of years that I didn't do, that I didn't really start doing a lot of these things until probably 3 or 4 years ago, which slowed up my process, but also gave me a little bit of learning time. The first thing is utilize your friends and family. Reach out, let people know that you're in real estate.
Yeah.
Let me know, let Brittany know, let any other person you know, let your coworkers know, let the people you go to the gym know, which I would tie into John.
Yeah.
Obviously if you have a spouse or a significant other that can be an advocate for you, you're not going to have a bigger advocate than your spouse. So I'm hoping John wants people to use you.
Yeah, he better.
But John obviously is in a position where he can see a lot of people, so that's a good niche. My gym has been a good, I would say, I guess, niche, in the sense I've met a lot of people through the gym, and I've actually done a lot of deals with people in my gym, not necessarily from trying to get that business. I know it's kind of weird not trying to get that business, but by not trying to get that business, I got that business just through mutual and genuine friendships that I built, and then all of a sudden 2-3 years later they're like, hey, actually I actually want to buy a home now. Oh yeah, sure, I'll definitely help you out. Like, while we're sitting there sweating and doing, working out next to each other, they're like, oh, by the way, I want to do this. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot, I actually am in real estate. We can do that, and so that's how. But I think that will be a good niche market for you. Utilizing friends, obviously networking opportunities. I didn't start going to networking until about 2 years ago, which is crazy to think about, because it's such a big part of my life now that I never did that. You're doing it right from the start, which is phenomenal. Mentor, which you talked about. Basically watch what I do and learn what I do, and basically mimic, and then obviously put your own spin on it, but just kind of see what I've been able to do or what I do, and then kind of pick and choose what you think fits your style or not. And it's gonna be open to the Ellie-ism that you want to put on it to make it your own, but to find a mentor and really learn from them. The next one I have is leveraging social media, leveraging this podcast. Obviously this is going out to multiple listeners. I think we just hit 400 plus downloads in like 3 weeks, which is pretty cool.
That's awesome.
I don't know where that ranks, but it just sounds like a lot of people downloading it, which is neat. And then, but leveraging, say, the podcast, leveraging social media. We've talked about leveraging each other's social media. Tagging, sharing, commenting, liking, tagging, but like really using other people and other platforms. And we've done this very good, I think, through 80KYP. Is a lot of those people in different businesses are giving shout outs to other people, or making sure they tag them, or making sure they put them out, so now their sphere can also see, oh hey, that guy from the mortgage industry, that guy from insurance, that gal from the recruiting area, oh they're all like, oh they all know each other, oh they're all cool people, oh they all seem like they're really genuinely good at their job and somebody I want to do business with. Which you've done, so you're doing a lot of these things. And obviously I think obviously leads and what you can generate, but then overflow of business. Like, I've gotten to the point now where I can't do everything. Business wise, I'm limited time wise, but you're able to pick up, I would say, like the overflow of, hey, I can't get to this, can you do it? And that's how I started my career. It was like, I'll go do the not so good listings or not so good showings, but guess what? It snowballs up, and
it's experience.
And exactly, like I'm not even close to where I want to be, but when I look back, I'm like, I've accomplished quite a bit over 9 years. So what is the next 9 going to be? Which is, as we know, snowball, it exponentially gets bigger.
Looking good.
It gets bigger every year. It gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and it gets bigger quicker. So, but the last thing I think, out of all those things, if you can accomplish that, and again, this is for newer agents or even agents that are just starting out, is you have to be consistent. And the consistency part, whether it's prospecting, whether it's going to networking events, whether it's meeting people and introducing yourself to people, and telling people that you're in real estate, not annoyingly, not being like Ellie in real estate, but bring it up in conversations that you do real estate, because it will lead to stuff. And posting on social media, it's just be consistent. I see a lot of agents that they'll do a couple good posts here and there, they'll do maybe a video, and all of a sudden it's like crickets for 3 weeks or a month or 4 months, and they'll do something else. Like, that's one thing I really try to pride myself on, is that every day I'm putting content out. Every day I'm trying to add value to anybody that's following me, whether it's through podcasting, whether it's through video, whether it's through picture on my Instagram, but people are able to see that and hopefully get some kind of benefit, whether it's directly to real estate, maybe it's just like a good funny post, maybe it's something that's interesting, maybe they hate me and somehow follow me because all they want to do is talk shit about me, but at the end of the day, you're still watching my stuff, so I don't care. It's all good. Would you agree? I mean, on those things, I think you've done pretty well. Like, you're on track. Like, it's not like Ellie's never done this, Ellie's doing this, but it's a slow.
Taking time.
It's a slow build. You're 1 month in, so like I usually prepare people. You may not sell a home for 6 months, and that's actually normal. Like that's not like it's different. And on like a car business where people actually walk into the dealership to go buy a car, people that want to see homes are usually reaching out directly to their agent they want to use. So, how do we get people to call Ellie? If you guys are looking to buy a home, call Ellie.
Please.
But yeah, how would you do it? You would call that person directly. And I think, this kind of stuff, I didn't have this 7 years ago. I mean, granted, we're not this huge production. It will be at some point, probably. It'll grow, or at least it'll grow in audience size, but I think that's something that will help you, will leverage you. That's why we're doing it. That's why I'm not just doing a weekly real estate show about myself. That's why I brought Ellie on, because two heads are better than one. But I think that's cool. Do you have anything to add on that, or do you think it's kind of...
No, I think that was, you nailed it. I think personally the biggest thing that is going to lead to my success is having you and having someone who is going to basically like baby step me through the whole process instead of just kind of blindly going through and hoping for the best, basically.
And I think what the biggest thing is effort. You got to put forth the effort. I actually have it up on my board. Effort, if you can see right there, Ellie, effort is controllable, meaning there's only so many things you can control. You can't, because of those glasses. You go up. Okay, it's right middle track, just to the left, about 4 up.
Okay, I see it. Yep.
So
controllable.
Yep. Effort is controllable, meaning that there's a lot of things we can't control in life, and I try not to dwell on good or bad, or if somebody calls me and says something happened at the home inspection, or something happened right before about to close, or something that's like out of my control. It's like, okay, well, what's the problem? How can I fix it now? Okay, it's next? A problem. Okay, shoot, this, here's a little speed bump and some extra time in my day. But how are we just now? I don't want to dwell on it. I don't want to wish it didn't happen. It happened. Okay, how are we going to move forward? Just because that's the quickest way to resolve it. But again, it comes down to effort. What's controllable to me? Your effort that you put in, your attitude, all that stuff's controllable. I really believe that. I try not to dwell on negative thoughts, negative people, negative situations. Try to be positive. Try to spread positivity to the people that I deal with, and try to surround myself with like-minded people, and that seems to help.
Absolutely.
So, which I think you will. You have that
drive.
You have that effort quality. The other thing we wanted to talk about today, which is where we started on Realty Talk today, was Catch-22, and why does Catch-22 have anything to do with real estate? And the biggest Catch-22 in real estate is what do I do? It's kind of like the chicken and the egg. I have a home to sell, but I want to buy a home. Like, do I find the home first and then sell? Do I sell my house, then buy? how does that all work? I actually had a conversation with a client today for that exact scenario, which made me think about, we should probably talk about it today. But the whole point is, if you have a home to sell in order to buy, which is, I would say a lot of people probably in their late 20s, in their 30s, maybe early 40s, that are kind of in the position that they're possibly, upsizing because they have kids and it's not their first home. It's not, or downsizing where they have to sell in order to purchase. They can't purchase the house cash, but they need to sell. How is that done? What's my recommendation? Well, number one, at any point in time in that scenario, you are always going to put down in the contract, whether you're selling or buying, you always put contingent on you closing on a new home.
Yeah.
So if you're selling on a house, you always want to put in contingent on you closing on a new property, which will allow you to hedge against somebody, quote unquote, kicking you out of the house. So if somebody comes in, makes an offer, and you say, great, we accept the offer, but we're still looking to find a home that we want, then we have in there, written in as a contingency, contingent on the seller purchasing or closing on a brand new home. Now, what happens if 2-3 months goes by and you do not find a home? Well, guess what? You can break the contract because you did not find a home.
Yeah.
You did not close on that property. Now, on the same side, if somebody's looking to purchase a property, that would have to be built in. So but they know up front, if you're selling, the buyer knows up front that you need to find a home that they may not close in, 40, 60, 90 days. It could be 120, it could be 150 days, depending on how hard it is for you to find a home. Now, the market we're currently in, which is the seller's market, meaning that the inventory is extremely low, meaning there's not a whole lot of homes for sale, and there's a lot of buyers that are looking for homes. What I usually tell people that have a home to sell is, hey, listen, put your home on the market, allow, the market to, in whether or not you get an offer day one or 4 months, you have to put it on the market to get an offer on the property. Otherwise, when you go to make an offer, the seller of that house is not going to take you serious because it's like, hey, they're always going to ask, where are you? Okay, that's cool. Where are you with your house? Is it under contract yet? It's very tough to make an offer and say, oh, well, we actually haven't even listed the home, but we want to make an offer and just wait for us to list our home, get it under contract, and then, and you're asking a lot of the seller to pull the house off the market. Now, yes, there's a thing called a 72-hour contingency, which means if an offer comes in, you have up to 72 hours to come up with financing, so the seller can go with the second offer after 72 hours because they lifted that contingency.
Yeah.
But I always tell people, list your property, get a buyer for it, because the buyer on making the offer knows that you're trying to find a home. So it's not like you're surprising them. All of a sudden they're like, hey, how come we haven't closed? They're like, well, we need to find a home. That's known up front, and you're never going to be kicked out because the contingency in the contract is a clause that will get you out of it. But that will give you time to buy a home, and now it gives you a time to go in, make an offer on a house, and be able to provide both, hey, here's a contract and a pre-approval letter, plus here's our purchase contract from the buyer on our house. We have both of those. We can show that we actually are under contract at the price, we're qualified, we can purchase your property. Now, obviously there's a domino effect, and it's more risk on the seller because it's the worst contingency you can have as a buyer, but it's a common one, so we have to work around it. I mean, like, I use the idea of a home inspection. A home inspection is a contingency, but that's, if you really love the home, then you're not going to let the contingency of the home inspection stop you from getting it. On a 72-hour contingency, meaning you have to have the home closed, you're relying on a third party, also known as the buyer of your property, to close on the property. So now there's some stuff out of your control.
Yeah.
So you're really, it's a slippery slope, but the best way to make that the most manageable, if you have a house, is to list your house, get it under contract, and then go put an offer on a new home. That's the best way to do it. It's the way that you can basically get all your ducks in a row to make a really good offer that the seller can accept. Any other way, the odds that you get the offer accepted are very low, especially now with the limited amount of homes that you're purchasing or that are out on the market to purchase. If a home comes on, it's a really good home, and now all of a sudden you really love it, and you're like, hey, I'll make an offer, we'll get our house on the market. Well, guess what? If there's 2 other offers on the property, they're not going to go with your house. They're going to go with somebody that doesn't have that clause. So always list your property first, at least in today's market. List your property first. Get it on the market. Let us market it. Get a buyer hopefully soon, and then we can go and pursue that new home. So that is real estate's catch-22, because that can be a very stressful time. There's a lot of moving parts. I know I've dealt with it both good and bad, and there's a lot of stuff going on because you're dealing with people's lives and really big moves and situations. So that's kind of my little rant for today. But I really think if you are a seller looking to purchase a home, get your house on the market. And it's just something like have us come down to the house. Call us up, have us come out, get a game plan for the whole situation, and then make sure you're working in the proper order to make sure that you can get into the home you want, and also sell and buy. So, anything to add on that?
No,
just thumbs up. Sounded good. Sounded like I knew what I was talking about, right? So, anything else you want to add today?
No.
Pretty good.
Gucci.
I mean, good.
I think so. I don't know how I say it. So
these kids
these
days.
days.
These kids. All right. That is episode 5 of Realty Talk with Ellie and Galen. We will see you next week for episode 6. That's it.
Perfect.
Done. That was actually one of the longer ones.